as we are recording this, it is Tuesday evening. The Jets are leading the Canucks right now, and if this follows through, then the Jets are going to take the third seed, which would leave the Leafs to play the Habs. But for argument's sake, we're going to say, let's say it's still up in the air. And if you were a Leafs fan looking at this, who would you rather the Leafs play in the first round? Would it be your arch rival, the Montreal Canadiens, or would it be the Winnipeg Jets?
So I guess
I'm going to you, Frankie. I'm going to you first.
All right. I've wavered. I'm not gonna lie. I've wavered. But I'm still just the fact that we're talking about this. I know where Joel's gonna go. So I still think it's Montreal, even though it's probably end up being Montreal for the sole fact that, listen, I don't want to base. We all have people that we know that are Habs fans that will never let this down if the impossible happens where somehow the Leafs channel their inner Pittsburgh Penguins and are knocked out by the Habs. And listen, they are a hardworking team. They play a very boring style when they want to. I still think Carey Price has a chance of being Carey Price. However, I just look at this team. These guys change lines more than Keith does with his lineup. So that there's very little to no chemistry. Down the middle, they're very weak. They may be the weakest down the middle in terms of depth. Kotkaniemi might even be a healthy scratch, I've been reading. So you're telling me who's going to stop the down the middle of let's just say Matthews in general, and then the Tavares line. Is Nick Suzuki good? Absolutely he is. But come on, you can't tell me in 7 games that guy's going to try to shut down Austin Matthews, even if they have the last change. I just don't see it. You know what I mean? Yeah, are they speedy on the wing? Yeah, but their special teams are worse than the Leafs. That's another thing. You know what I mean? So I also would have said if the crowd was at the Bell Center, probably would have been on your side, Joe. But because there's no crowd and the Leafs are the best away team in the league, like, it's just all signs point to me like there's nothing that scares me about Montreal. There's that factor that they had with the fans and feeding off that energy. It's not there. So you give me one reason of why I look at Montreal and say I should be scared. I just don't see them. They're not a bad team. Again, I respect the work ethic. And now they're going in with a coach who's on an interim tag. And he doesn't seem like he's made them any better. So you can't tell me, I look at the advantages and disadvantages. There's not a lot of advantages Montreal has against Toronto that you can change my mind to say, well, they got them beat there. I look at Winnipeg and I'm like, you got the reigning Vezina winner. You got three centermen that, that are all-star centermen in Dubois, Scheifele, and Stasny. They could turn it on. You know what I mean? It's just that aspect right there tells me that they can match the Leafs from a depth standpoint. So for me, bring on the Habs.
Okay, so I'm going to go against you here, and I'd say I'd rather the Leafs play the Jets, and I'll tell you why. First, I'm going to look at this from a very non-analytical, just pure fan perspective. Now, after a 56-game season, the Leafs will end up with around 20 or so, give or take a point here and there, more than the Habs. Same as the Jets. Now, if you extrapolate that over 82-game pace, that's about 26 points better. In 2019, the Lightning had over 30 more points than the Jackets and got swept in the first round. This is hockey. Anything can happen. And when it comes to the Leafs, anything usually does happen. This is the Leafs we're talking about here. Have we not learned anything about this franchise? Frank, you asked. Montreal doesn't scare me too much. Okay, you know who scares me? The Leafs. The Leafs scare me. No matter how great they've been all year, I still can't find the optimistic bone in me to be super optimistic going into a series against them. Bad stuff just tends to happen to this franchise. So losing to their arch rival in a first-round matchup in a season where they were far, far better than them would fall absolutely in line with that. I believe the term we call it is leafy. That would be very, very leafy to lose to the Habs in that manner. So just from that perspective, and like you said, having to face any Habs fan after losing a series in a season like this, I might have to quit Twitter. I don't think I'd be able to return for something like that. And if I did, it would have to be like Batman's return after like 8 years. He's all brittle and broken, coming back. Anyways, so there's that. Now, just looking at the way the teams play, I feel like Montreal's a way better team defensively. Yes, they have those big defensemen back there who can play playoff style hockey. I think they're going to get away with a lot more in the playoffs than they usually would, which suits their game to try to stop the Leafs. If you look at the regular season games against the Jets, look at like the high definition scoring chances that the Leafs created against that team. It was chance after chance after chance, and it only seemed like if Hellebuck stood on his absolute head that they'd pull through. So, and speaking of Hellebuck, on the other side, you have Price. Has he been great this year or the last couple of years? No. But it's Price. And he can totally come out of nowhere and win them a series. All it takes is for the Habs to win the first game. If they win the first game, suddenly they get a little belief. Suddenly a little doubt may creep into the Leafs. And then you have a series. That first game is huge in a series like that. And then Leaf fans will mock this, but Brendan Gallagher makes a difference for this team. He's a spark plug for them, just like Hyman is for the Leafs. So, yes, we've been watching the Habs the last 6 weeks, and they haven't been good at all. They kind of backed their way into the playoffs, but they've lost kind of their most important player, their spark plug. So, this is the Leafs. I think any series would be tough for them. Nothing's going to be easy, but I would just rather, if I'm going to lose to someone, I would just rather lose to the Jets. It would make things a lot easier. I know David Bastel might come after us, but after that, I don't really know any other Jets fans. So
no.
Be cool.
No. David Bastel would come after me every day. Every day.
So Bobby, I'll let you get in there. You're the unbiased one here. You're not the Leaf fan. So if you were the Leafs and you played on their team, who would you think is the better matchup for them?
Just an NHL fan, this is easy. Toronto, Montreal, no doubt. And that also makes Winnipeg, Edmonton. You've got those two regional battles, West and West, East and East. No doubt. Now, Winnipeg has the best goalie in the division. They have the best coach in the division. And you could argue I wouldn't, but they have the second best forwards in the division. And yet I sit here saying, if I'm the Leafs, I'm kind of with you, Joe. I think I'd rather play Montreal. Style of play, the Montreal D. If I'm the Leafs, I want to go up against that Winnipeg D core because that D core is not very good. I mean, I really like Logan Stanley. I don't know if he's there to being a shutdown defenseman. And we saw what happened last year when the Leafs went up against Seth Jones and Zach Werenski as he shut them down. So as just an NHL fan, I'm saying Montreal I'd rather play, but I still don't know why. I think if it's me, if I was a Leaf fan, I'd probably rather play the Jets too. And it's style of play, Carey Price, it's everything. There's something about playing your rival and you never know. And I think Joe brought up a good point. I've talked about the mental toughness of this team. Game 1's going to be huge, whoever they play in all these series for them. So, yeah, I would probably say Winnipeg. And it looks like it's not going to be them anyway. So, but this was a great hypothetical.
That's true.
I win.
Now it's
it's facto. I win. I look at that team and I'm like, I'm just comparing the rosters and Kyle Connor, Nikolai Ehlers, Mark Scheifele, Dubois. Guys, that's something I don't want to run into in a 7-game series. Like that scares the living daylights out of me. You know what I mean? Like that, those are 4, well, I mean, sorry, 3, but you can say 4 game breakers that Montreal doesn't have. Now Montreal maybe is deeper from 1 to 4, but there's not really something that just doesn't scare me. What scares me is what scares Joe is the effect of the aftermath, but the actual team itself doesn't scare me. Like work ethic doesn't scare me enough as work ethic and talent, which I think Winnipeg has more. So again, not knocking Montreal, please don't knock us, but you actually do it because it's good interaction. But it's just I don't see it, man.
Losing to them would be an absolute nightmare. And here's the thing Montreal fans have going for them. Really, they're in an easy situation because if they lose, listen, the Leafs have been the far better team pretty much all season minus the first couple weeks. So if the Habs lose, they'll be like, well, yeah, that was to be expected. They finished with 20 more points than us. But if they win, Right? There's nothing to lose, really. So they, yeah, for a Habs fan, you're in a pretty good spot.
Stop making it easy for them.
It's easier to be the underdog, I think.
Totally. I think that the Leafs forwards will control the play so much against that Winnipeg D that I don't know how much those forwards are going to have the puck. And I don't care how big of a game breaker you are. If you don't have the puck, you can't break a game. So that, like, at this point, Winnipeg, in my opinion, is the better team. But I don't know. It's Montreal. And Montreal, don't they do this every year? Last year, they didn't even make the playoffs, and yet they won a playoff series.
They were the 24th best team.
The 24th best team, and they won a playoff series. They do this every year. Like, they're a more dangerous team from a 5 to 8 in the standings than they are a 1 to 4. It's just that team that they're kind of scrappy, and now they've got even more jam and grit. And it's like I've said, none of these teams are a Stanley Cup contender, but I still think I'd rather play Winnipeg.